I wash my soul in the ocean, in the tears of God, I let it go.
Welcome to your 2021 video horoscopes with me, Lada from Astrolada. Thank you so much for choosing me to be astrologer for you for the year 2021. And what can I say? Just a quick summary. I'm delighted to say that 2021 will be way easier than 2020. You remember 2020, if you saw the videos that I created for 2020, I warned everyone this will be one of the toughest year ahead. For 2021, the action is moving from the cardinal signs like Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra, who had it the hardest, whether it was their ascendant, sun, or moon in 2020. It's moving to the fixed signs, which is Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. And when I say action, it means they'll have life-changing events. They'll have something that takes them to the next level. But passing from one level to the other is always a bit more difficult. Especially fixed signs, they don't like changes so much. But again, it will be, I promise 2021 will be way easier generally for the world and each one of us. Just a few people will be a little bit more tested. And 2021 is when a new age for humanity starts, generally speaking. This is when Saturn and Jupiter start their new cycle for the first time in almost 800 years in an air sign. I mean, they kickstart this 200-year period. They met in the 80s in an air sign, but the last time they met in Aquarius was 1226, something like that, 800 years ago. So we'll start a brand new life, brand new era for humanity. You can check out my video, which is for free on YouTube, about the year 2021. For the whole world, there is new hope. Aquarius energy is coming in. There is a new hope for humanity, new future. Life will start splitting into society will start splitting into, not in a bad way, but in a way that instead of fighting and not seeing eye to eye, it will separate somehow. There will be people that want to live alternatively and people that want to follow the normal rules. But anyway, let's get back to you because those horoscopes are specific for you. So let me tell you what you need for those horoscopes in order to work for you. You need to find out your sun, moon, and ascendant signs. I want you to check all three of them. If you can't afford to buy all three, just listen to your ascendant sign at least. But you need to know your time of birth to listen to the ascendant sign. And you need to know the degree as well. And if you have time to watch all three videos, the ascendant, sun, and moon, then listen to the specific degrees when I speak about the moon and the sun especially. For the ascendant, pay attention to everything, the houses, whatever. For the sun and moon, especially pay attention if I mention your specific day of birth, if it's the sun, or the degree of the moon as well. The houses can also be relevant. Who will be affected most? Everyone feels affected by the ascendant sign, but you need to be very correct with your time of birth. Like if your mom told you between 2 and 3 o'clock, no, it's like you need 2:34. For example, PM. And within 2-3 minutes at least to have your correct time, or 5 at most. So listen to your ascendant sign and the degree, start with it. Then listen to your sun sign. And of course, with the sun sign, you just know which day you're born, but you can check the degree as well. Listen to your moon sign. If you're born during the day, which means before the sun set, while the sun was above the horizon, the sun sign is very important for you because the sun becomes your ruling light. If you're born at night, like I am, when the sun has set, you have to find out what day the sun set on the day you were born and rose, so when you know your time of birth, whether it was day or night. So if you're born at night, the moon, it will be very important for you because the moon becomes your queen, the light. So but I would advise, listen to three of those: ascendant, sun, and moon. If you're a woman, the moon sign is usually very important. If you're a man, the sun sign is usually very important. If you're a woman in a competitive career or who has her own business or who is very much into her career, the sun sign becomes very important because the sun sign is our goals, is our masculine side, taking decisions. Let me tell you what the difference, the subtle differences between listening to your ascendant, sun, and moon is. With the ascendant, it is the physical body and your fated events. They're kind of pre-recorded for you. You really see the ascendant sign in when you, if you have your correct time of birth, you would see it as basically as events that materialize, that are happen around you, and they've been already, usually they're like preset somehow. They're set in stone. The ascendant is the most material aspect of the whole horoscope. It's kind of like our path, our destiny, whatever you want to say, the destiny of the soul. It's a little bit, we still have free will to some extent, but the ascendant is one of the most set ones. So you'd see very material manifestations with the ascendant sign. With the moon sign, the moon is the soul and the feelings. So a lot of women, because women are more connected with their feelings, tend to actually resonate a lot with their moon sign. And they're like, yes, those things for the ascendant sign are happening, but what really, where my whole heart is and where my whole attention has been and where my whole excitement has been and my focus or pain or sadness, whatever, has been as per the moon sign prediction. So do check it out. While the sun sign is, and the moon sign is, again, the moon is connected to the past, so it's a little bit more karmic. It's something that has been maybe programmed for the soul before our birth, type of thing. While the sun sign is the spirit, where we have the most free will. And with the sun sign, people often resonate when they listen to their sun sign. They say, wow, it's so correct. Especially people, the more self-sufficient and independent you are, the more and how do I say, the more it's the sun is where we have the free will power. And this is where we can influence the sun sign prediction, the events, the most. And this is what usually our goals, our dreams are about. The sun is like this ideal of the spirit where you want to reach, something that feeds your spirit, so to speak. So that's why a lot of people, especially in the West or in more, where people have more free will generally in countries like that, to determine their life, to determine their direction in life, because there are a lot of countries you cannot still do that. Some countries are still set like 1,000 years back, in mentality. But where there is more free will, usually in the more developed countries, or then the sun is very powerful. People can feel the sun very powerful, especially people that, as I said, men feel the sun very strongly. Women who have their own goals, who have freedom to go after career and things like that, to create their own careers. And especially if you have a stellium of planets in the same sign as your sun. For example, I'm Aries sun, but I also have their Venus, Mercury, Mars. So then I would feel the prediction from the sun sign very, very strongly. Maybe not as strongly as the ascendant, but it will be up there. And with the sun sign prediction, we have the most ability, when you listen to it, to take the higher road, to use our free will to change things to the best manifestation possible. With the ascendant, with the moon, well, with the moon, if you can control your feelings, but it's harder to control your feelings. With the sun sign, if you can control your thoughts, it's easier to control your thoughts than your feelings. With the ascendant sign, it's kind of more like set. So I told you this. How do you find out what your sun, moon, and ascendant signs are? You can, let me share my screen with you. You can go to my website, astrolada.com, where you can find any other, astrolada.com. Here it is. You can find any other astrology website, but I have this free birth chart calculator. You can go there. You can enter your details, your name, whatever it is, your birth time. Let's say you're born, okay, maybe you're not 8 years old, but the minute, you don't need the second. Very few people know the second. Your town, I'll say New York, continued, so it's easier. And here from the drop-down menu, you find out which New York it is. Let's say there might be New York in Texas, Henderson, okay? Let's say I was born there. And this is what you get. It might look like alien, alien stuff to you. But all you need to do is go here, planetary details, and I want you to take those first three, ascendant, sun, and moon. You see those three. and write the degree and the sign. So this person that I invented has the ascendant in Taurus at 24 degrees. Don't look at the second number, the second row. These are the seconds. So just round it up, 24 degrees Taurus. The sun is at 16 Aries. Usually everyone knows their sun sign. This is the sun sign is the same, every year at the same time. And the moon sign of this person is Libra at 8 degrees. Write those down. And if you hear when you're watching Libra, for example, we mentioned Libras born with sun, moon, or ascendant from 3 till 9 degrees, they would feel this influence very strongly. Well, 8 degrees is within that influence. So pay attention what I'm talking about. You're going to feel, especially when I give specific degrees or days. If you're using for the moon, it will be a degree. And you hear your degree or that it's within the range, pay attention to that. You're going to feel this big time. The same with the sun sign, but with the sun sign, I also give the day you were born. For example, people that have degree at 16 Aries, they're born around the 4th or 5th of April. Every year is the same. The ascendant, I'll give the degrees again. So if I say if you're born Taurus, for Tauruses who have anything in degrees from say 12 to 26, and this person has a 24 degrees in Taurus, you will feel this influence, and so on and so on. If you don't hear your degree, just listen. Start with the ascendant sign. The whole prediction for the ascendant sign will, the houses. Then go through the sun sign if you're born during the day, the moon sign second, or second if you're born at night, especially if you're a woman, and end with one of the three and listen to the three of them and see which one you resonate the most with. See which one makes the most sense for you. Watch it again in the middle of the year, towards the end of the year, and you will figure out which planet actually is very strong. But always the ascendant is so important, guys, if you know your time of birth. And because anyway, I cannot fully give you specific reading. I just look at the whole sign, the whole Taurus I'm going to be speaking, or the whole Gemini. But there is a way for you to be following daily your personal transits like no one else in the world has them. It's again on the website, Personal Transit Calendar. You go there, you register. I already have an account. 50,000 people are using it, I think, already. For free. It's weekly, it's for free. But nowhere else in the world and I show you how to use it here. There is an instructional video how to use the transits. But here you put your details. You can put as many people as you want. You're gonna get free for them, or you can buy. You can buy for a year transits or for a month transits. A lot of the people that are subscribe for a month at a time, and you can just watch your specific transits here. They come out. No one else in the world will have the same transits as you on the same time, unless you have a twin born at the same place at the same time at the same minute as you. Otherwise, those transits will always be different. And you can go through each day of the year and see which transits you have. And you click and you read, and that will, you don't need my videos. But in those videos, what I strive to do, because a person has so many transits throughout the year. Look at that. This is just for 1 month. So many transits. How do you make sense of them? In those yearly videos, this is what I help you do, especially if you watch them for your ascendant, to a lesser degree, sun and moon, but they're still relevant. And I give you the bigger, fuller picture, instead of like separate, you have like, for example, look how many transits I'm currently having this day today. And, so, which one, but I give you like a summary of it, like wrap it up. All right. There you go. I think we're ready. If you have written your sun, moon, or ascendant, let's dive in. But before that, just a little quick prayer for God and to bless the year 2021 and to protect anyone. So, dear Father, Mother, Creators, dear Jesus, dear Mary, Buddha, Allah, whoever whoever has their higher power from whatever place they're praying in the world, turn towards your higher power, to the angels, to the exalted beings that are taking care of humanity, that are selflessly helping us every day, our guardian angels, our departed beloved ones. Thank you so much for protecting us, for keeping us sane during the year 2020, for raising our consciousness collectively during that year. And I ask you for this new age that starts from the year 2021, from this brave new world. Let it be tilted towards the positive. Let the balance go towards the positive. Let more and more souls wake up to the divine love, to brotherhood, to peace. We're entering the age of Aquarius full speed from the beginning of 2021. May God, your desire and your plan for the world be fulfilled through each one of us. May brotherhood, love, equality, fraternity come, compassion between each other rather than separation. And let everyone who is watching this video find out the most important information for them, reach their heart, reach their soul. Let them connect with the information that is most relevant for them, and let them be prepared and help them through the path, and help me be a good channel and a good channeler of your wisdom, of your knowledge, so I can connect the people with the right inspiration. Amen. All right, let's start. Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising 2021. Well, this year actually starts with the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius, which is the 12th house. And it's going to affect us for the next 20 years. So it means in the year 2021, whatever you put foundations on might determine your social role, because Saturn and Jupiter indicate what is your social position, social role in the world, basically. And it's going to determine it in a big way. And for Pisces, this is happening in the 12th house. Actually, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is happening at the end of 2020, but the whole 2021 is under its influence. So, very important year. And where this places you, as Pisces, collectively, it means that the universe has a goal for you, that people with strong Pisces, especially Pisces rising, moon in Pisces, and even sun in Pisces, that for the next 20 years they will be playing important roles in society connected to the 12th house. And the 12th house is one of the houses of psychology, one of the houses of healing, one of the houses of letting go of the past, one of the houses of spirituality and psychic connection to the invisible worlds. So many Pisces will play such an important role in society, will be able to change society over the next 20 years with their healing abilities in fields connected to spirituality, messages to the invisible world, to a faith and belief that there is life after death. The 12th house also rules, the departed, the invisible realms, the realization of something higher beyond ourselves. So whatever your career is, doesn't matter. You will play a certain role in society, many Pisces, starting possibly from already 2021, that will alert others to the existence of invisible realms. And this is something that Pisces are naturally born with this affinity, with this realization that the external world is just a very small percentage of what exists, because the Pisces naturally is the sign of the invisible worlds. And that 99% of where the real life is, actually where the real consciousness and where the real life, the busiest life, is in this 99% invisible. The invisible 99% in higher dimensions, higher, lower, whatever. You're naturally attuned to this realization. And as Pisces, no matter, even if you're a banker,
if you will, in your environment, in your social environment, for many years ahead, you would be bringing this realization to people. And the 12th house also rules imagination. The imagination, the higher worlds, that everything is created already in the higher worlds. I mean, everything that will ever be created, that has ever existed and will exist, it exists there in a thought form, as an idea. And the 12th house is how the possibility, the ability to quiet the internal dialogue and to connect, somehow to download those divine inspirations, those, sometimes they might be from the lower realms that you download. Depends where you align your consciousness, whether you download or upload, information from the infernal realms. They're lower also astral layers with thicker density, in a sense vibrationally, but somehow you'll be able to tap into the collective subconscious or in the invisible world and download inspirational thoughts, inspirational ideas of a very of that you might not be able to manifest immediately. It might take a couple of years, 2-3 years, until Saturn comes into your first house before you can present it, before you can see the results of that. But you're starting to get those downloads, basically. And it means that for the next 20 years, you'll be connected. Pisces will be some of the most inspirational creators of art, of music, of, anything. The imagination is the 12th house. So anything that, any career that requires you to use your imagination. You might be a software programmer who programs computer games, who creates computer realities, creates some alternative worlds for people to escape reality. You might be a book writer that writes beautiful romances or novels or imaginary worlds. Anyone who uses the imagination this is the energy of the 12th house. So these two planets really activate for you this energy for 2021 to align to the invisible worlds, to start hearing this divine voice there, or this your invisible spirit guides is the 12th house as well. Oftentimes people can receive very clear messages from their spirit's guide or from their departed loved ones, mothers, fathers, grandparents. Saturn rules elderly people. So if a grandparent departed, they might be helping you in the next couple of years while Saturn is in the 12th house. Jupiter is great benefactors, people that, spirits that are more evolved than us, like spiritual teachers might be trying to give you messages and signs, and it can happen through a psychic, that you can get some of the best psychic reading you've ever had. Well, Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house, especially Jupiter in 2021. I remember 12 years ago when Jupiter was in my 12th house and I had started doing astrology. And I was a bit in a hole. I was not sure where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. Or I kind of knew I wanted to do astrology, but I didn't have the courage. So I was kind of in this suspended state of the 12th house. And I called my first psychic then. And that was the best psychic I've ever called, actually. And without knowing anything about me, she just told me, you're going to become famous around the world. She said, you're going to be teaching people something, your spirit guides. She basically lined out the whole life that I had in front of me. Plus, she told me who I was going to get married, and to the T, my ex-husband, basically back then, I got married to this person. So I had one of the most enlightening readings. And to be honest, after that, I've had really good readings as well, but nothing that compares to this. Almost like when Jupiter transits, or very strong activation of this 12th house, there is a portal that opens between you and the invisible worlds, and you are deemed, because we're not always allowed to receive instructions from above, from the invisible worlds, or call it from your higher self, from your guides, from God, whatever it is. But when those planets, especially the two biggest planets in our solar system, they'll put so much, they'll work on opening those portals. Like you're allowed by the universe to access that information that usually is not allowed for us. information, guidance from spirit guide, so to speak. You might dream it. Some of you might dream those things. I can give you an example. Saturn and Jupiter were in my 12th house for the past 2 years, Jupiter for the last 1 year. So I'm first-hand experience what's going to happen to you, Pisces. And I'm going to share my experience. Sorry, this is the Aries talking in me, who is always gives my own stories. But I think that's the best way to learn, by examples. So what happened for me is that for the past 2 years, I would zone out a lot. And this is something that Pisces are very known to do. They kind of disconnect from reality. And now it will be even more intensified in 2021 because of your 12th house being triggered. 12th house has naturally Pisces energy. So you kind of disconnect from what's around you in reality. A lot of you can start feeling that from 2021 and even a bit into 2022. And you kind of start, because the goal of 12th house is to put you in touch with the invisible realms rather than get distracted by everything around. So I almost naturally started zoning out. I would be cooking and my head is somewhere else. I would be playing with the kids, but my head is in imagination, in other realms. And it felt like download, especially last year, and well, just Saturn was there, but still, it's strong activation. And I downloaded within a week like a vision, and it wasn't all in one go. I would see some parts on Facebook, I would see some parts from other inspirational people, whatever, or other businesses, but it's kind of this idea formed within a week. It felt like I'm pulling ideas from above, and I started preparing on that. And I knew I was not going to be able to materialize it and bring it out and see the results of it before Saturn and Jupiter leave my 12th house. So I just started preparing, getting ready, working on the softwares I've envisioned, working on the structures, but still it drags out. Usually when Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house is more the planning stages, where you are grabbing those ideas from the invisible world, when you start visualizing, dreaming, type of thing, and by the time, and if you have the clarity, you start preparing about it. Maybe you have to study and research something in order to materialize this vision you have, or this creative imagination thing that you saw. Maybe you need to, some of you might have to start doing it behind the scenes, without, it's not visible. Before Saturn moves into your first house, or Jupiter at least first, which happens from 2022 fully, you won't be able to fully materialize what you're going to download, what you're going to visualize for the next 1 year. And it's fantastic time when Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house to start researching. And oftentimes a person might not be clear even what they want to do. I was lucky to download this information because I realized it will need like 2 years. What I had to, that's why maybe the universe sent it to me as an inspiration. It came in dreams as well. It was like a 1 week of onslaught. So you can connect to such ideas, visions, and so on from the invisible world. It's almost like it was not my plan, it was placed there. So such things can happen. But I want you to arm yourself with patience, because while planets are in the 12th house, it's so hard, especially if it's from your ascendant, very likely from the moon as well. From the sun, maybe not so much, but when planets are in the 12th house, Saturn and Jupiter, that's the preparation time. And that's when it's like, if you want to grow crops, for example, you can't just, just go put the seeds. You have to till the earth. You have to study and research. How do you grow seeds? How do you plant it? How do you take care of it? So fantastic time to study, to research, to start in your mind visualizing how it might work out and what is needed. Or some others of you might, but it takes almost like a couple of years, mostly. And then when the planets move, Jupiter from 2022, Saturn from 2023 into your first house, Pisces, that's manifestation time. And I often advise people while they're having Saturn in the 12th house and Jupiter, not to rush to start something totally new that they have never done before. They can start preparing for it, but they can start studying, but not really. Don't launch a business you've never done before while Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house, especially from ascendant, maybe even from Moon and Sun. Don't launch don't switch totally careers from one branch to another that you've never done before. Again, prepare. What you can do when planets in the 12th house, you can start other things that you already have experience about, that you have clarity about, because the 12th house is about completions and not totally new beginnings. You can start planning for that new beginning, but it will be born, and preparing and maybe doing the initial stages. If you have this vision for a company, it might take you 2 years to put everything together, the resources, whatever. And that's the invisible work that you can do with Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house for a year or even 2. And when they come into your first house, voila, it's creation time, or it's manifestation time. You're gonna start seeing the results materially, or you're gonna start basically. The 12th house is let me give you another example. Is if you want to build a house during the 12th house, Saturn, Jupiter, you might be like, okay, I want to build a house. So you go talk with architects, you envision, you dream, you make a vision board, you gather pictures from magazines and online and paste them, and you look at things, how you want rooms and whatever, you dream about it. You kind of think, what do I need to do to make this reality? And then when they move into the first house, it's symbolically, giving again as an example, it's when the first dig into the foundation start, the first dig for this property. And I'm not talking you're going to be doing property, but compare it to anything in your life. So that's when the real hands-on dirty work starts, when they move from 2022, 23 into your first house. So don't force yourself. Don't push yourself. Actually, when Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house, you have to give yourself more slack. Give yourself some slack. Is that what the expression? And if you're someone who is used to always having material results, if you're someone who is always used to do, you might feel a bit frustrated while Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house, because you might have those visions and ideas, but maybe outside circumstances beyond your control, because 12th house also rules those things, will not allow you to make them happen until the planets move into your sign of manifestation. Now it's, let's say, in astrology, the 12th house rules the period of pregnancy, and the first house is the birth itself. So you're gestating now. When Saturn and Jupiter move into a 12th house, you are getting pregnant with something new. But even like a pregnant woman, if you've ever been pregnant, or whether you're a man, it's a pregnant woman just at the end is like, oh, I've had enough. Won't you come out at length, at the end? So I want you not to despair if you feel like those dreams you're having, those ideas that are coming to you at that time, if it's taking longer than you expected to manifest, if there are delays, just like when I started when I got this idea, and it is connected to something I've done before, astrology, but it's on a totally different level. And I was like, wow, all those planets in my 12th house. And I found I had to organize 20 people to work on this project, and they were all telling me in 6 months it's been 2 years, I'm still waiting. And I kind of knew to prepare myself that it's going to take way longer, because I knew that it's only going to manifest when Saturn and Jupiter enter my first house, which is about to happen. And so for you, I want to warn you to have the patience. Don't get frustrated if things get delayed. Remember, this is a time more of gestation rather than of birth yet. And give yourself some, time to relax as well. It's so important. The 12th house is the house of escaping reality, escaping the hum and drum, escaping the worldly responsibilities. And because the soul is preparing for a new incarnation, for a new chapter of your life. That for many of you will come from 2022 when Jupiter enters your sign, and for others 2023, 2024. So 2022, 3 and 4 will be big years for Pisces for big changes where they can direct things according to their visions, where they can manifest things, where they can become movers and shakers and put those plans into action. But until then, is this I forgot what I was saying. Yes, this phase where the soul needs to, in order for you to start a new chapter, which you'll be doing for a few years after 2021, you need first to take off the luggage and the unnecessary baggage, psychological, emotional, material, physical, that you've been carrying, because the 12th house is the last house before a new cycle starts, which means that you'll be ending 2 cycles simultaneously from 2021. One Jupiter cycle, which is ending a 12-year period, and one Saturn cycle, which is ending a 30-year period, 29-year period. So you experience a lot of endings. I don't want to scare you. This is a good thing. These endings are long overdue. So you start gradually realizing this is no longer productive in my life. This is just blocking me. This is just stopping me. And yes, we are attached to those things. We are attached, and it might take even 2-year period before you're fully able to let go. You might learn to manage it initially, to manage certain things that are harmful for you, that are not, that have to be let go, because Saturn likes to hold on to things, and the 12th house wants to let go of things. So Saturn is like, I know this is harming me, I know this is not good for me, but I'm holding on like for the last straw. At least I'll learn to manage it. That's why 12th house rules vices, addictions, anything that we self-sabotage ourselves through, anything that we almost unconsciously reach out for to help us escape reality, to help us avoid responsibility. And many times we have very unhealthy such habits. It can come from the 12th house. Addictions can be anything from alcohol, smoking, any unhealthy habits that are connected. And this is again to escape responsibility, to escape facing the problem face on. Anything from drinking alcohol, drinking, smoking. For some of you might be other hidden vices, might be pornography, might be sex, anything that you are unhealthily attached to will have to go away. You might be resisting it. If you're resisting it, it will come from an external force. The universe says, okay, enough. You have to clean up before you start the new chapter in your life. I'm not going to let you start this new chapter with all this baggage you are carrying, emotional, psychological, physical, all those self-sabotaging behaviors. And I can give you an example again. For the last 2 years, I was, trying to stop drinking. And it was so hard because wherever Saturn is, and I'm not like a daily drinker, I drink once a week or twice a week. And still it was, I was feeling like the result, the repercussions started becoming too bad. Like I would get a panic attack after a couple of drinks. I would get physically so exhausted and drained. And so if you have some vice or some hidden vice that you do secretly, it might be even shopping or overspending. 12th house rules, spending too much. So any such kind of proclivities that you have to escape reality, and it's guilty pleasures as we call them, but they're affecting you bad. Maybe till now they were helping you, but no longer it's going to be the case. So first, these things will escalate. It might be a codependent relationship. It might be codependent relationship to anything, to food, to drink, to whatever, drugs, marijuana, to antidepressants, anything that is kind of gives you this release. And shopping, so these things might escalate initially, and the escalation happens so you can reach that tipping point where the benefits, the negative side outweigh the benefits, and where at which point you're like, I can't do this anymore. It's just either doesn't give you pleasure, does not help you in the same way, or it's putting your life into chaos and mess. or it's creating mental depression, self-beating, guilt. So you can expect initially that feelings of guilt, a self-reproach, feelings of even a bit of a mental depression is possible when Saturn transits the 12th house. It's almost like a feeling of something is dying out, but like also the feeling of I have to let go of something, but I'm not ready, I'm scared. What is life gonna be without this thing in my life? What is life gonna be without this marriage? What is life gonna be without this career I've always done? What is life gonna be without this crutch I've always used? And it's this battling feeling of the need. You feel the need, it has to go. At the same time, no, I don't know who I am without this thing. So it's, a lot of the processes happening will be internal. It's not going to be much external. People might think, oh, she's okay. Your external life might be going perfectly well, but you are having a battle inside. So I call it the battle for the soul. And don't worry, you're gonna win it. I'm just coming out of this battle, so, well, I hope you'll win it. But Saturn is in a very good position there in Aquarius, so it usually gives the best results there. Yes, it might take 2 years to see those results, but you'll win it. So I'm at the end of this battle. Saturn was just in my 12th house from my ascendant and Jupiter. And I can tell you, like, I tried for 2 years over and over. I'll stop for 2-3 weeks, and then Friday comes, and or stress comes, pour myself 5-6 beers. I'll go like, I'm never too small. And I was like, I'm in a trap. I can't escape. This will never finish. And then Jupiter entered also the 12th house, and I finally had a success. But after repeated tries, so I don't want you to get discouraged if you have to do repeated tries of letting go of a vice. One time it will stick, and it will stick while Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house, or at least Saturn. It can happen for some of you in 2022, while Saturn is still in the 12th. And Jupiter is already in the first, but this process, for some might happen already in 2021, but this process starts from 2021. And for me, I'm like this stubborn ram that has to beat their head by the wall, in the wall to learn a lesson. So at the end, I was like, okay, I'm giving up. I'm not going to keep trying. And but then out again, I'll see, because what happens if you stop trying, out the circumstances start making it impossible or unenjoyable for you. So as I said, when I gave up last summer again, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna drink and find it as an escape like I've always done. For me, that's been an issue. I don't have any other addictive substance, attachments. I'm not attached to money. I'm not attached to usually the 12th house takes what you're most attached to. If it's something that you've become codependent, and something that takes away your ability to thrive on your own. So for me, it's always been alcohol. I've always put it on this pedestal. Thanks God, a glass of wine at the end of the week, not 1, 4 glasses of wine. So that's what the universe forced me to give up, because I started getting panic attacks. I started getting depression. I started feeling this constant dissatisfaction and moody. And my husband is like, you're not happy. What is it? And I started thinking maybe it's something to do with my childhood, So I started going on to constellations, and 12th house work often involves, because you're trying to unburden your soul. You're trying to get to the bottom of some emotional dissatisfaction or some self-sabotaging habit. And often that involves some psychological work. So I went to some family constellations where I realized where this issue was coming through, which is amazing. If you can do such work while Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house, it's so important. Put your soul first and start taking care of it, of your needs. Why are you self-harming? Why are you having negative self-talk? Why are you thinking, oh, you're ugly, you're stupid, you can't make it? All those things are self-sabotaging behaviors and addictions. There is an addiction of the mind to think less of yourself. And I've always had that issue. I created a huge business worth 7-8 figures. I created, and still I was looking down on myself, and I was, I received beyond my biggest dreams, the love of my life, happy in relationship, 2 healthy children, 2 successful business, and Saturn and Jupiter entered my 12th house, and I'm like, why am I unhappy? Why am I depressed? You know, why do I still feel like I'm inadequate? I'm not good enough? Why do I wake up every morning saying to myself, you idiot? Why are you like that? Like, it's like this negative self-talk, never feeling worthy. So I started digging. So any such feelings that you have, they intensify when Saturn and Jupiter, or especially Saturn first come in the 12th house. They intensify, but this is great news. I don't want you to feel horrible about that, actually, because this is exactly what pushes you to start thinking, how do I shift that? And it's a slow process. For you, it might happen much faster because Jupiter initiates this together with Saturn. Jupiter is the one that gives you the solution. Saturn intensifies the problem. So you can decide to be seriously working on it. Jupiter gives you solutions. So already from you 2021, a lot of you will find solutions to those psychological issues, to this lower self-talk, to this nagging low-grade depression for some of you, to this I'm not good enough feeling, to this, you know, why am I dissatisfied with life? First it intensifies it, but then with Jupiter, starts giving you very quickly resources in the form usually of knowledge, information, and teachers or intuition, that you get to find those solutions, that you get to shift your subconscious perspective. Because all those self-sabotaging behaviors, they're due to subconscious patterns, habits that we turn into. First we did them consciously, and then you don't need to be conscious and present. They kind of engrave yourself in your subconscious, and now they run the parade. Well, now Saturn and Jupiter come in your 12th house and says, no, it's time to rewire the subconscious. Now this is your biggest work. Withdraw a little bit from the world. You don't have to be on top. You don't have to go and transform the world currently. The transformation always starts within. Because you're going to have a big task from 2022, 23 to make big things, big changes externally. But before that, let's do the cleanup work so there are no obstacles on your path to creating a new world for yourself, a new kingdom from 2022, 23, when Saturn is already also there in your sign. But that's what you first have to sweep all the rubble and all the dirt from the previous, all the wrongly rewired brain thought patterns that are due to constant repetition for years and years, that have become subconscious, and that's the work of Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house. So what helped me is like reading about psychology, reading about the invisible worlds, reading about family karma. 12th house is a karmic house where you pay off karma. Okay, that's one woo-woo way, a spiritual way to say it, paying off karma. But said in more modern ways, this is when you break patterns. You break karmic patterns. You can call them karmic. Karmic means maybe they're given to you generation to generation, or you carry them with you from past lifetimes. Actually, the 12th house carries patterns from past lifetimes. They're not from your birth only. They're not only from your family. They're connected to many, to previous incarnations as well. So that's one of the biggest work you're going to be doing in your life, guys. The biggest cleaning job of your soul, so to speak. And you'll get a lot of powerful insights where the issues are coming from, because Jupiter is only there. If it was only Saturn in your 12th house, oh my God, that's a bit tough. Because the self-doubts, the fears, the paranoias, they intensify and self-sabotaging behaviors become more and more give more and more negative results. So it's like a lot of tripping and falling. But because Jupiter is there as well for you from 2021 already, you identify those harmful behaviors. You have the willpower to decide to control them, or not only behaviors, thought patterns, programming in your mind, in your subconscious mind. You're gonna identify them, maybe because they escalate first. Some you become aware of them, but you're going to be able to control them. Saturn has that. And to decide that it's so painful that you have to do something about it. But the good news is that Jupiter also allows you to find the solutions. As I said, Jupiter is knowledge, wisdom, light. And Jupiter is like entering your cave now, of your shadow side, your subconscious. The 12th house is this invisible house where it's darkest, where we keep our secrets, even from ourselves, from past lifetimes, And I actually, in the past 2 years, I remembered the memory that I had when I was 10 years old. I collapsed when I was 10 years old with a stupid child game we were playing. I lost consciousness and I saw myself in something like 18th century France, or just like those beautiful palaces, and I was just running, giggling and drinking the champagne, and just this life of frivolity and champagne, and things started clicking. So you're gonna start discovering why certain self-sabotaging behaviors. For you it might be a relationship pattern, for others might be a poverty mindset, that you always self-sabotage yourself and you don't have money. Why is that? You're gonna start discovering it out. Advise you, if you find a good counselor, you might have to try a few times. You can find someone that really illuminates your past life regressionist, or someone who, I would advise you to find someone more open-minded, because Jupiter is there. So you can dig deep, that doesn't use just traditional methods, that use more, but I think a lot of us psychologists now are quite advanced, and they'll help you bring out those secrets, those forgotten memories, either through regression or just through recapitulating those buried emotions and feelings that have started to fester and that have been tripping you for years and years and years. So now a lot of awareness comes. For me, for example, when I went on family constellations, and that's family constellations or any kind of constellation psychology work, is the 12th house, unearthing the secrets, understanding the soul. I realized that I witnessed my dad beating my granddad when he was drunk once, because my dad hates people who drink alcohol. And I just remember it, and I spoke with my dad, and I said, why did you do it? And he said, like, I can't stand that, and he told me, he said, that's why I was always very upset with you when I would see you having a drink, because I could never forgive my dad. So you find a lot of answers. And I realized that I felt guilty for my grandfather, and I stepped into the shoes of my grandfather, because my dad never forgave my granddad for drinking. And he never forgave him. So the universe said, we're going to give this to your child to have a problem with that for years and years, because you have to forgive your child, because he loves me so much. We'll give it to your dearest thing in the world. And when I resolved this, when I finally became clear how the patterns are working, within a year, the desire started disappearing. And I can tell you, I'm finally free from drinking without desire for it. Before, I would stop myself. I would not drink for months or whatever, but I was constantly like, just, it's like, life without color. Oh, but now it's the opposite. My God, life is so full of color. I was carrying this burden so much, you realize. So these are the insights you're going to be getting. Not like mine exactly, but yours will be just on your personal level, on your connected to your life. So it is fascinating. Well, others might think nothing much external is happening in their world. It's usually when planets transit the 12th house, there is a bit of a blockage and stop to external developments. Whatever you want to do, big things, it's like you withdraw from them, or outside influences stop you from making them happen, because you have to get quiet and focused within. Just like what happened with the coronavirus, is very 12th house activity in the last 1 year. A lot of people were brought back, not to be able to have external contact to work. So all the distraction from the world disappear, and they're kind of secluded. 12th house rules seclusion. But this is exactly what is needed to discover those deep truths, to reevaluate your life, to realize what you don't need and what you want to keep. And a lot of people, so what happened in coronavirus is 12th house activity locked down. So for you, you have another year. It doesn't have to be external, but emotional, that you withdraw, so you can reevaluate. Just like people during the coronavirus, a lot of said, I realized after being disconnected from friends, that these people were toxic. I don't want to be with them anymore. I realized that the job I was working, oh my God, It was robbing me from joy in life. I'm not coming back to it. So many people during that coronavirus had a shift in consciousness, powerful realizations, what to remove from their lives. And this is exactly what you're going to be doing. It's an internal process, but Pisces are great at it because you're naturally attuned to the 12th house of the invisible world, of the soul, of what it is you need to let go. And you'll get there. Some of you might do it already 2021, others 2022. I can tell you, at the end of my transit of Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house, there is just 1 month left for me. It was hard work psychologically and emotionally, but because I did it, I'm free and I've never felt happier. It feels like I've just took out a gorilla off my back. For 20 years, I never realized that I felt unloving and unhappy because despite of having achieved everything, because of one thing, because of the alcohol, and doing the psychological work helped me get to the bottom of it, a lot of research, what to expect, and it happened. And I'm free of the desire. The 12th house wants to free you from powerful desires and attachments. And I feel like a newborn baby. Light, positive. I haven't felt such joy in life since I was 17. It's weird. Like it's like bringing you, it's changing your consciousness level. This is the 12th house. I told you I've achieved so much and my consciousness level never changed. My sense of joy and happiness of the soul. I felt entrapped. I would wake up with a lot of negative self-talk and feeling undeserving, doing a lot of unloving things towards myself, a lot of self-sabotage. And thanks to Saturn and Jupiter in my 12th house, thanks to my work, because Saturn pushes you to work in that direction. And I eliminated alcohol and turned out that's all I needed to do to raise my level of consciousness. Of course, it preceded it by 2 years, the Saturn in the 12th house, of trying to dig deep, investigating, looking for how to do it. Many failed attempts. And then at the end of this period, Saturn in the 12th, now because Jupiter joined, I had the breakthrough. That's what's going to happen to you guys. And the 12th house is the house of changing your consciousness. And that will be your role for many years, for 20 years, in the age of Saturn-Jupiter conjunction of Aquarius, which lasts for 20 years. You'll be able, a lot of you, to help other people do the same, to let go, release, clear up the karma, the past somehow, to raise their consciousness. So, just to recap, the highest purpose of Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house will be to raise your state of consciousness. Initially, it might feel the opposite at the start of this work, because you have to do the work. Initially, you might feel like you're trapped, like you're isolated. And there is isolation when Saturn and Jupiter transit the 12th house, especially from the moon and from the ascendant. Usually the person willingly wants to isolate, but sometimes it happens by external forces. Because of all this internal cleaning up work that they're doing. You need a lot of your psychic reserves. That's why people even you can retire from working for a bit, for example. You can give up some responsibilities. And that's a good thing to do. Don't push yourself too hard. Be kind to yourself. You're doing the most important work for your soul. Your soul will thank you so much, because at the end of this process, you will feel so light, so ready for those new beginnings. So maybe I'm a success story, but so I've talked with so many people who at the end of a 12th house transit, they're like, I feel a new person. I'm ready. I have the strength. I did the internal work. Now I can change my external world. When the planets move into your first house, you will do that. So the cleaner's work is Saturn's work in your 12th house, to clean up the old stuff, to clean up the old attachments. And you can hear some scary stories with Saturn transiting the 12th house, but it depends on what your attachments are. For example, people that are very much attached to some money or some source of income, and they have a lot of fears about losing that. That's exactly what can happen when Saturn transits the 12th house. Losses of material nature, And that's because the ultimate goal of the 12th house is to raise your consciousness by removing attachments. It's the most spiritual house. When we say spiritual, it means it sucks in the material matters. But it's, and for example, I made twice as much financially while Saturn was in my 12th house, because I've never had emotional attachments or fear of being poor, because I used to be very poor. I've lived on the streets. I couldn't pay rent, and I come from a poor family, so I didn't have this fear. I've been there, and I did it with my own strength. So I'm like, if I lose everything, I'll do it again. But a lot of people might not have had that. So if you have fears about finances, well, everyone has fears about finances, but the material attachments of many people, if they too big, the attachments to material things, then losses can happen during Saturn transiting the 12th house. But these losses liberate you from the fear. If it happens, like, oh, okay, it happened, well, I've got nothing to lose now. So you become more detached towards material attachments. For others, it might be strong attachments to certain people. Well, the 12th house transits there, especially when it's unhealthy attachment, especially when it's codependence. But often it can, even if it's not unhealthy, these are people we love, or you might lose them. I'm not saying they will die. I'm saying they can just leave your life for some reason. There are different ways that if you're attached to someone, you can get disconnected from that. Or it might be a marriage that you've been so afraid that, I have a few examples when Saturn transited someone's 12th house, that they've been in a relationship or a marriage that it was okay, but it's like stagnation. And that's when their marriages fell apart, because this was stopping them, these marriages, or it was not something, everything that is old has to burn, it has to be let go. But if it's healthy and good one, it's not going to end. If it's a marriage or relationship that helps you raise your consciousness, that there is mutual understanding, it's not going to end. Nothing like that. Like, my marriage has never been better. But certain other relationships of mine have ended. So you do a lot of reevaluation, and you might willingly let go of people and habits and patterns and thoughts, and consciously try and work on to eliminate them. And if you don't, it gets forced on you. Especially people who are not ready for changes, who are not ready to let go. But I think you Pisces will do a great job, because Pisces is the sign which most naturally, whether it's your ascendant, sun, or moon, most naturally is willing to live when things become too much uphill, when they're not, when they're too, when they're not supportive of your life. Pisces knows how to let go and let God. So they're like a fish that escapes. It's like, okay, stinky here. Oh, I'm off. So you'll be doing your Pisces thing. You're naturally attuned to that. So don't be afraid if there are endings. Believe me, they'll feel so liberating. Yes, there will be some grieving process. Yes, I grieved not drinking for a few months. It's like a breakup. You lose something that you thought was so amazing for you, but you actually lose an enemy, a hidden enemy. 12th house is the house of hidden enemies. You lose them, bye-bye. And you go through the grieving process, gives yourself 6 months or something until you go on the other side. But at the end, you'd come up without dependencies, without... you'd shed off so much negative self-talk, so much depression and negative internal patterns. It's honestly, I want to tell you, it's so liberating. It's amazing. And at the end of the process, during the process, as I said, it's kind of external things kind of stuck and so on, but because you have to focus within. If you can, give yourself more sleep. Saturn sometimes can give difficulties with having sleep because of responsibility, but Jupiter is there. Or find other ways to relax. Find other healthy and more constructive ways, more higher consciousness ways to escape reality. That's, you know, the 12 houses is the house of rest. We need our rest, but some of us get it in stupid ways. We think that, oh, if we get high, if we get drunk, if we go shopping, or if we go gambling, or if we go having affairs, or sleeping around, sex addiction as well, or secretive, 12 house is the enemy of the marriage. So secretive activities of any sort that can hamper, that can give problem to our relationships, also can intensify, so you can release them. And the ultimate goal again of these two planets is to help you find healthier such ways to reward yourself for, or to relax. You know, it might be reading, it might be yoga, it might be meditation, it might be watching more movies, it might be going on a holiday. There are a million other ways you can do that, creating a world of imagination and so on. So you'll be discovering such ways, but as I said, in the process of that, you might be, and you will have to deal with the things that actually you're ashamed of, that you blame yourself for, that you do secretly and hiddenly. These can intensify with the things that you'll beat yourself up for them. This is Saturn, and that's great, because once you start beating yourself for them, well, usually you always beat yourself, but now it intensifies so much, like, okay, I need a way out, and Jupiter comes and helps you with the way out. Okay, so also expenses might go more. 12 house is house of expenses, and it might be like a long-term investment, because 12th house, it is expenses, but it's also long-term investment. So something that feels like an expense now, it's like you're putting it up for the future. And you're investing in something that will give you back results maybe in 2-3 years. In a long-term investment, might be winery or whatever. Now remember, I called one of the most famous astrologer, Terry Nazan, to have a reading. I didn't tell her I was an astrologer last year, and she looked and said, Saturn and Jupiter gonna transit your 12th house, you're gonna get into a lot of debt, you're gonna lose a lot of money. And I'm like, serious? She said, yes, you're gonna have health problems, you're gonna be depressed. And I'm like, I want to shoot myself. Well, no, I made twice as much money, but I spend a lot on creating something in the future that will be paying off for 20-30 years ahead, that will be paying back to me. So it is a big expense. Yes, I put hundreds and whatever thousands in something, but it is an expense, but it is something that's in long-term investment. It will give results. So I don't want you to be scared that you necessarily have to lose money, that you know, unless you're super obsessed about something. But because Jupiter is also there, even if you lose, a new opportunity will come. But it's fantastic time to invest in something long-term. It might be, you know, in some long-term goal that, you know, sometimes might take 4 or 5 years, 2-3 years before you see the money back. Or because, you know, when Saturn and Jupiter enter your first house, you'll be creating something actively, so you might have to spend before that for the preparation period, and then you're going to start getting actual hands-on things. And then when they move into your second house from 2023, especially Jupiter, you're going to start seeing these returns back. So sometimes it's important to sacrifice, but it's not a sacrifice. Think of it as an investment as well. Well, some losses, again, are possible, depends, you know. And believe me, the Saturn and Jupiter did only shitty aspect from my 12th house. And it works so well. So don't get so scared. You know, a lot of people say, oh, 12th house, Saturn, Jupiter, one of the toughest karmic times. No, one of the most, the work is very internal, so you might feel stuck externally. But the final result is like, wow. I moved from this consciousness to first heaven, you know. So in 30 years, when it repeats, I'll move to second heaven consciousness. So they're beautiful, beautiful results. So some advices, how to pass best this 12th house time. If you want to work with the energy so you get the best manifestations, as a remedy, it's not remedy, as the work that is asked from you. Start reading on astrology, on psychology, to understand your deep motivation. Start even investigating your past. If you can do past life therapy, speak with spirit guides, or even dive into tarot, something where you receive messages from the invisible world. Start a dream journal. Your dreams can tell you a lot of things. And actually the dreams tell you, the dream world is the 12th house, which is being activated. It tells you, dreams tell you if you are close to changing and shifting your consciousness. For example, I've had all my life recurring dream that I'm repeating the last year of school, but with the current consciousness, and I'm like, well, until I figure out what to do, I have to study again, so I might as well repeat the last year's school. And I would always be not ready for exams and stuff. I would always be afraid. I'm like, why do I have to do it again? I did it. I was so good at it. But for years and years, I dreamt of that. And finally, when Saturn entered my 12th house, the dream started changing. I started realizing in the middle of the dream, wait, I have a business. I don't have to study at high school again. I have something, responsibility. I'm successful. And because the dream changes, you overcome that fear, that worry, this repeating lesson. And especially since I stopped drinking, in that dream, I always say, oh, I don't need that. I'm free. In my dream, I wake up, I consciously choose I don't need to repeat school. I don't need to repeat that problem, again, solve this problem. And you notice through your dreams that your dreams are telling you where you are at that level of consciousness, at that level of changing, repeating patterns. So dream journals are great. So yes, do those things. Another thing you can do is work with a psychologist if you want, or meditation, so you can calm the mind and you can kind of take the attitude of the observer, the witness only. The ultimate name of 12th house is detachment. The more you're detached and obsessed with things, the harder this period will be. So meditations naturally help us enter into a state of the observer. I'm shit at meditations. I never do it, so I had to do it the hard way. My meditations are concentrated thinking. So you don't need to be only a meditation where you stop thinking, but when you take something and you look at it for, say, 20 minutes, or think of it, over it, and just like an observer. So you create this consciousness of an observer, of a witness, they call it. So if you approach it from the very beginning like that, the spirit, you're going to have the witness consciousness. You're going to have so all those losses that are attributed to 12th house, they don't have to be external. You just lose your attachment internally to things. So if you're willing to help this process, it's going to be so easy. It just might feel like you have to be more still within that. It's a lot of internal work, but externally, you're not going to be very few changes, But the things that there is an unhealthy attachment to can often disappear. The universe asks you, takes them away, or asks you to dissolve them, and so on. And another thing during 12th house, give yourself time to rest and sleep. If you can go away or stop working for a little bit, or take one day extra, so work 4 days and don't work 3 days, something like that, because you're being prepared for a time when you'll be very busy after that, when you have to build and bring new beginnings and so many things. So right now, just take it a bit more easy. Another thing, what is 12th house is, who can be quite busy is people of art, for example, or people who work in spiritual, medical fields, in hospitals and prisons. Now, such people can get a promotion, can get something amazing to achieve. The 12th house activities, healing, spirituality, spiritual counsel, psychologists, people that affect the soul and change the psychological perspective, people that work in faraway countries. For example, some of you Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house, might have a strong engagement with something to do with foreign countries. So some people might even relocate to a faraway country. People who do research can have a really good year, 21, 22, because all those 12 house things are favored. And so if you're in those careers, actually the opposite, you're very busy externally and you receive even rewards, you receive promotions, or you expand such businesses gradually. Saturn is also there, little by little. But you receive respect and authority. Saturn, new opportunities, Jupiter. So, prisons, hospitals, laboratories, libraries even, islands if you work on islands, or if you work on a cruise ship, or if you're, chakra healer, or, any of those spiritual careers, or medical careers, doctors as well, because they work in hospitals. 12th house rules those things. Yeah, so, if you're in any of those fields, wow, actually that might be some of the most important year for you, even externally, to have results. Or if you work in charity work. And funny thing, I've never given anything to charity until Saturn and Jupiter entered my 12th house, and now we give 10% of my business to a charity to my liking. So you might get involved with some charitable work or helping those in need. That's another remedy, and that's another perfect way to you show that you're not attached to material things, and you can manage it. So the universe does not take your material things. So because it's the most spiritual house, so it's like, I'm gonna make you spiritual no matter what. So you say, okay, I'll show I'm not detached. I'll give a chunk of my profits to someone in need. That's why it's a remedy to do charity, which allows you to develop this detachment from anything material. Or not anything, but at least certain part. You can't suddenly, these planets transit your 12th house and you're Mother Teresa or whatever saint. It might take a few other lifetimes of 12th house transits for this to happen. What else? Well, deep psychological insights, blah, blah, blah. I think we mentioned all of it now. It might feel a bit lonely, 12th house. It is stop button, retreat, but don't worry, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Whether you're putting the stop button to research or study or prepare for your plan, or because just to understand what the plan is, because you might be feeling quite confused when planets are in the 12th house. So, just go with the currents now. If you're feeling confused and clear, you don't need to be involved with the outer world and chase stuff. When planets come into your first house, the plan will clarify. But for many, actually, the plan as an idea can start coming now because of the ability to connect to, the invisible realms. All right. So, interesting time, Pisces. Let's see where the nodes of the moon, they're the karmic nodes. Wherever they go, there is a big focus there. There is a big the south node is where you let go of things. The north node is where you manage to achieve a lot of results. So you see, from the middle of 2020 till the end of 2021, so this process has started already. Many of you are feeling it possibly. But the whole 2021, the north node is in your 4th house, the south node is in the 10th house. What does it mean? The north node, so wherever the north node is, we consciously focus there. We have more desire, more passion for those things. We get more excited about them, and we can manifest there, materially even. Well, guess what the 4th house is? It's another house of the soul. It's the house of family, history, childhood, early childhood memories. Oh my God, there is a theme forming here. 12th house, 4th house, 12 houses, working on the soul. The 4th house is working on the needs of the soul as well. What do I really need? And digging out and possibly getting really interested in your family roots. I've seen people, when Rahu transits the 4th house, build family trees, reconnect with relatives and extended family they never knew before, do DNA tests, discover something about their background that kind of changes their perspective of, and this is the foundational house. the strength that the soul rests on, the rest of the chart rests on. When your foundation is strong, of the tree, everything else, it can bear everything else on top. So it's very important work you are doing. And I don't want you, if you to feel like, oh, I'm not focused on external achievements, because whatever the South Node is what you let go of, and the 10th house is career, worldly responsibilities and duties. So the 10th house is, you almost like become disinterested in it, or things kind of slow down or stop there, or they're not a priority somehow, or you have to let go. Ketu is like the 12th house again. Release attachment to a career, to a job, to a certain social status, certain public reputation that you have. You might have to let it go. Whether you want it or no, it will be released. It will end for you. If you do it consciously, even better. But so don't beat yourself if you're feeling like, oh, I don't feel the desire to compete out into the world, to take on new territories, to prove myself to others. Oh, I'm kind of losing interest in my career. Some of you might feel like I feel meh, or disinterested towards my responsibilities or towards this position. You still might have to do it. But again, with Ketu in the 10th house, you might take a break from a career, or let it go, or just do the bare minimum there to make it, to get by. Because Rahu is where the focus is, where the passions are. And Rahu is again the soul. Rahu is again, I need to figure out my ancestors. I need to figure out my roots. I need to figure out what my needs are. I need to create a stable foundation in my life by maybe doing past life family regression, to remember your childhood. Maybe doing some kind of a family constellations again. You see, this psychological work, the 4th house, to be able to forgive the parents, or to get some, understanding about their perspective. And this way you rewire your attitude towards them. Maybe you forgive them, and this gives you a more stable foundation for everything else in life. Another thing you might feel strong desire, especially if your moon is in Pisces, especially your ascendant in Pisces. With the sun, maybe too, maybe not to such a great extent, is Rahu in the 4th house can make you relocate, for example. You become passionate to explore a new place of living, somewhere where you belong more, somewhere where it feels more exciting, and it even can, for some people, might be relocation to a different state, or relocation to a different country. Rahu rules something different, something unique, something foreign, or maybe to move to a place, or to change your house in a very more modern or different way than you've ever had it till now, because Rahu is quirky, it's different. Rahu is foreign or unusual style for you. Circumstances around your place of living to be like that as well, unusual. Sometimes I've seen when Rahu transits the 4th house, people want to build a house, people want to live with different people, different community. People start doing expansions, because Rahu expands as well, of their home and house. It can add a family member to you. People become passionate about settling, about finding where do I belong, about finding about their roots, about creating family. That's another thing that can happen. It's again more internal things, your private life. What makes you happy, not what the world wants from you. Well, nothing makes us happy than living in the right place and having a family. Well, of course there are things, but currently nothing will make you happier than that. Or establishing a new family. It might be a new family you create, of family of friends, whatever. But the community that you feel you belong to. For some of you, you might become very passionate, patriotic. 4th house is the country of origin. Rahu is like, very patriotic, not in a conservative way, but it's like Rahu is passionate, maybe reading about the history of your country, maybe maybe participating in local guard of your community, some protective roles, some guardianship roles. Others might just become very passionate about guardianship of land, of acquiring lands and properties, and you can, if you're, for example, in the property business, a property business, real estate, land, or vehicles as well, according to ancient astrology, is the 5th house. So if you're in nursing, in caring, working with daycares, children, that are maternal roles, this is the 4th house. So working with very elderly people, again, almost like a mother, you have to feed them and change diapers and stuff. So very nurturing roles, such people can have a promotion, but with such 4th house careers, or can have like a sudden expansion, because Rahu can give you sudden rise in matters connected to the 4th house. So nurses, caring, catering, hospitality careers can really shoot up because they're 4th house connected. Guardianship, protectors of forests, protectors of the, like children and animals. Anything with a protective career, or police, local police people, they're also protective roles. They can also have like a surge in their career, or real estate, as we said, they can have great results with Rahu there transiting. They can become passionate to understand more, they can have more deals that they sell and buy, and so on. Rahu, 8th house is the mother. The mother one might decide to change her life and become more voracious, go travel countries, or just do something unusual for her. And I would advise you to connect more with your parents, even if you're in bad terms with them. Rahu says that, okay, if you connect and do those 4th house things, I can give you sudden rise. And that's exactly what your soul needs now. It needs you to address parental issues of such sort, And sometimes I've even seen people become parents when Rahu transits the 4th house. Parental responsibility that they become very passionate about. Or it can just mean that adding a member to the family, as we said that you can, even if you already have children, it can mean that you become very interested into their education and read maybe more like socialization, not like how to cook and how to do maths and algebra type of thing, but their socialization into society, into the community. This is the 4th house kind of teaching children energy, to teach them how to take care of themselves, whatever. And you can get very passionate about parenting and learning and researching about such things. If you've wanted to move for a long time now, this can be the time that it happens for you. You gain a house that is, because Rahu is what you can gain materially. And it can especially happen around the eclipses times, all those things. There is an eclipse in June the 10th. There is an eclipse in this 4th house. And at the same time, there is eclipses in the 10th house. One is on May 26th. It's in your 10th house. That's where you might have to let go of some kind of career responsibility, a job, or even a role of leadership or a role of supervision of some sort. Or you might see the results. If you've been in a position already in career, you might complete some career project and you see its results. They might be rewarding, they might not be. I don't know. There might be certain authority figure that's living your life, or parental figure as well, the 10th house, more of an authoritative natures. While stronger engagements with the more maternal figures and roles in your life, Rahu in the 4th house. And then there is another eclipse, lunar eclipse. That one is in your 3rd house. I don't think it's gonna be much of a influence to you, but there is another big eclipse, solar total, in your 10th house on December 4th. Again, an opportunity to complete some career project and to start anew. Solar is something new because it's with South Node. It's first there's some ending and closure and detachment to allow you to start something new in regards to your career. But you'd say, does it mean I can't do anything in my career with the South Node transiting my 10th house? Does it mean like I'll just stay at home and do home stuff. No, because the South Node has a very spiritual nature. So it can mean you can still work and stuff like that, but you have to have more detached approach to authority figures, to institutions, to bosses, to your responsibilities. Or it can mean that if you're in a career connected to the South Node, so that's in spiritual work, that's in work anywhere where you sacrifice, or even knowledge, higher knowledge, or research of some sort. Ketu is also research, spiritual work of any sort. Then or where charity work of any sort, you see again the same themes but through different houses and different planets. Wow. Well, then your career can go powerful. You can become even an icon. 10th house is your reputation with South Node. Icon of self-sacrifice, icon of charitable work, or in your field of spirituality. Ketu dissolves boundaries, so you can dissolve boundaries even for your career, especially if it's Ketu-like career. But also, it can mean that you're doing in your career something which you are not concerned with the final result. The attitude of Ketu is like, I am not doing it for the rewards, I'm not doing it for the money, I'm not doing it for the, I'm doing it for the, purely for itself. It's Ketu's influence is again like Pisces, like 12th house, observer, detached, witness. I'm gonna do the action, but I'm not attached to the result. If you approach your career and your worldly responsibilities and your interactions with institutions and father figures, authority figures in this way, I'm gonna do what is required from me, but whatever the results is, I'm not gonna beat myself up. Then there's not going to be some disappointment in career. There's not going to be some, actually, if anything, a lot of barriers to your career can disappear. I've seen Ketu in the 10th house natally of many scientists, of many people that kind of do their job not because of the title and the prestige, because they do it because they want to contribute to the world. And that's very Ketu-like attitude. That's very attitude that it's... I'm doing it for the sake of the work. I'm not doing it for what I'm gonna get. Rahu does things for what it's gonna get. Rahu's like, I want this big nice house, and I'm gonna get it. There's passion and feeling in Rahu. Ketu is like, no, I just want to do it, and I'm just gonna do it. I don't care what the result is. It's like more like research type of energy. It's good when Ketu transits the 10th house to research about roles of authority, reputation, career choices. This is good. Ketu has research energy like the 12th house that's being activated for you as well. Also, it can mean, there's so many things. Like I can't cover them all here. This video will become 3 hours. So you see how Rahu, Ketu, they play out. It doesn't mean don't do any career, but the passion is there in the 4th house. The changes are happening in the home as well, very likely. While in your career, you need to do it without strong opinions and without certain expectations how it's gonna work out. Ketu, the key word for Ketu is no expectations. I'm gonna do what I'm doing, no expectations. Do it like that, and it can be beyond anything you imagine. Ketu is also where we can channel geniusness because we switch off the mind. So in regards to your career or certain worldly responsibilities and executive decisions that you have to make, which is the 10th house, you can do something brilliant when Ketu transits there, as long as you switch off the mind somehow. It's almost like you channel divine guidance there, but you don't think on it, they don't plan it. It's like you I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of, because you become detached, you just start acting like a automaton and the right things, and it's kind of, you connect to the right inspiration and you do it. This is the kind of energy that I've seen as well. So it's no deterrence to your career, but for some of you it can mean letting go of certain career because they no longer feel connection to it. But if you're in the right career, just approach it with no expectations, and again, do it for the sake of the work, like a witness perspective, and you can have unboundaried results, because Ketu dissolves boundaries as well. But if you have too much attachments to you being at this position, or too much attachment towards you, you know, expectations of what the project has to be like, or what the government has to do, well, then it's disappointment that Ketu brings. But if you're like, it is what it is, I'll do my best, you'll get perfect, way better results. Then we have, I forgot to say that Jupiter jumps into your sign from May the 14th, till August. So half of May, June, July, for 2 months and a half, in the first 2-3 degrees of Pisces. So very few Pisces will feel it, but still, Pisces that are born basically from February 17th, February 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, those Pisces will have Jupiter passing over their sun sign in the summer. Wow, if you're ascendant or moon, the first 3 degrees, sun, moon, or ascendant. But I think all Pisces will feel it for a little bit, and they'll find this very welcoming, this influence of Jupiter for 2.5 months in the spring till August. And what does it mean? Things will start flowing easier for you. You'd escape this trap of the subconscious that, you know, you might be able to start manifesting even as well. Then, because Pluto is in your first house of new beginnings, especially the early Pisces. I told you the first, let's say the first 5 degrees and first 5 days of Pisces. Because Jupiter will be there very long, for 2.5 months, very almost stationary, so to speak. So the first 5 degrees will feel it, the early Pisces. But let's say all Pisces, they would feel it like a reverberation, or what was that called? So for especially the early ones, there will be powerful new opportunities they come. Even the things they've been preparing before, they can start manifesting them for 2.5 months. But after that, things will slow down again, and they'll go back, you know, to preparation mode after August, when Jupiter leaves their sign. But there will be something powerful, beautiful, easy that appears for them. There will be a sense of joy. Especially the early Pisces, there is a sense of lightness. You will feel lighter, breezier. You'll feel at the right place at the right time, luckier. If it's your sun in those degrees, your career can take off. Promotion, business expansion, opportunity to fulfill a goal, meeting a positive, very positive influence with a relationship, male relationship. Your confidence improves. Something good happens in the lives of important males in your life, or through them. If it's your moon, your family life, your home, it's just opportunities, sense of joy and happiness that comes. Opportunity for a better house, home, pregnancy, opportunity for emotional connection, meaningful emotional connection with the moon in the first 5 degrees of Pisces. In the later as well, but it's possibly it's not going to be so obvious. They might just feel a bit more positive, happier, more like, oh, the heavy energy of the 12th house is, you know, like I feel lighter now. Relationships with the ascendant and the moon, with the ascendant, powerful new beginnings in life as an opportunity, but maybe you have to back on it for a few months till the end of the year after August, to rethink it, to replan it. But the opportunities can appear for you, whether it's your ascendant, sun, or moon, those 2.5 months while Jupiter is in your sign. So there is some blessing for many of you. Small part of it. Okay, for 2.5 months for you. Then I want to mention though that Jupiter is the planet that rules you. So the king comes to visit his own sign for 2.5 months in Pisces in 2021. So you'd feel very strong. You'd feel for those 2.5 months like, I feel like myself, I'm ready, and the opportunities will appear. And then in 2022, Jupiter comes full force into your sign. That's when a lot of Pisces will be able to implement and start seeing results and grow and expansion and beautiful things like that. But Jupiter becomes invisible, and don't forget, Jupiter is you. one of your rulers, from January 17th to February 22nd. So for about a month, you might feel a little bit on the down, lower, less motivated. That's the start of the year till February the 22nd. So don't beat yourself, don't push yourself too hard while your planet is invisible. It means it's gone very close to the sun, and that's why we can't see it. And when Jupiter is very close to the sun, it means it's recharging to get new stores and energy. And when it becomes visible from January 22nd, you can come out again more recharged for this year, with new inspirations, being able more to manifest outside. But don't forget that most of the year is under the 12th house influence, except for from the middle of May till August, when you get some first house influence about being able to start new things when Jupiter enters your sign, being able to manifest externally. Well, a lot of the year you might naturally feel more withdrawn, naturally feel more like in a research mode, naturally feel a bit more tired. That is, I cannot hide that. There is just a feeling of being more tired. Well, the 12th house is strongly activated. There is too much energy being expended for rewiring your subconscious and for those internal processes. And the vitality is first house. Well, the 12th house dissolves vitality, and we have this 12th house. You have this 12th house so strongly triggered. And you might feel especially exhausted that January till February 22nd, basically till the start of Pisces season. And then you start feeling better and better. And I want to say another few. Venus becomes invisible, though, in February 22nd, which is okay. Venus is not anything that rules you, but Venus gets reborn again from April 21st in the sign of Taurus. That's your third house. So when Venus becomes invisible, let's see what happens. From February the 2nd, it becomes invisible, guess where? In your 12th house. So again, it's completion of something. So something of Venusian nature can complete, and 12th house is endings. Becoming invisible means endings or seeing results, you know. So you might complete something Venusian in your life. Let's say you can complete some friendship with a woman. You can retreat from some social life, Venus, for a little bit, at least while it's invisible. You might complete Venus social life. You might complete some contract or agreement with someone. You might complete some Venusian art project or something beautification connected with making something prettier and see the results of it, or some project or business connected to women, to luxury products, connected to finances. You might complete it and see the results of that. So if you've done well, money can come to you as well, you know, the Venus becoming invisible. But there is another way Venus becoming invisible can manifest, is that you can end a relationship, complete it when it becomes invisible in the 12th house, or something connected to hidden relationship, you know, disappearing, going away. You can complete and end some Venusian habit when Venus becomes invisible from February approximately. And Venusian habits are what? Pleasures, sugar. That might be a good time when Venus becomes invisible in your second house to quit sugar, end it, you know. Sugar or anything. Venus is sweet things, rich foods, you know. Some financial investment can end as well. Some financial source of income or material security can end. Relationship can end. It's Venus as well. Not for all of you, but certainly for some. And then Venus gets born in your third house. Oh, I love the birth of Venus. Something new appears in your life. And that's from April 21st onwards. It might be a new friendship, third house, especially with female or whatever. It might be a new online love. Third house is online. Venus is love. That's someone that appears while you're traveling. Or it might be the possibility for a travel. Third house is to travel, to go somewhere, or to a new state for a few days somewhere, some pleasant trip that you enjoy. around that time. There might be the opportunity and the possibility for the birth of a new website, third house, you know, for the for new business plan, third house, for new associates that are helping you, third house, workmates, you know, mates or colleagues as well as the third house, that appears some business project or some work project that's especially connected to media, connected to marketing, advertising, connected to business meetings, connected to small group, say 4 or 5 people deciding to do something. They can be the birth of a new such project, or having to work in a small group environment with others. Anyone who is in white collar careers, social media, writing, speaking, teaching, training, commercial business activities, this is the third house. Such a new thing can be born, Venus, which can be beneficial materially for you. Also, it can be the birth of new love, Venus, towards some new skill that you want to develop, and you get very passionate about learning a new course. For example, third house is to take courses, classes, and you're like, oh, I love this. The like new passion. Venus is passionate planet, appears, that can actually create self-made wealth for you, because it's the third house, is the house that we of self-made wealth, basically the money we make through our own skills. So such new career or business idea can appear through self-made wealth around April, the end of April, or by using your own skills. Or it can be fantastic if you want to publish something. Third house is to publish, to say an important message, or to introduce a product to the audience, because third house is connecting to the audience, speaking your message. Well, do it when Venus is becoming visible in your third house around April. It's going to have monetary, financial success, well received from the audience as well. If you want to ring and speak with someone, or make a proposition to someone, something connected to communications, to presenting a business plan, to speaking out your ideas, when Venus is born in your first house, fantastic, do it. Or just publish a book, or write an important article, or you can just give birth to amazing new ideas for writing, for classes, for courses, for business projects that are being born when Venus becomes visible in your third house. Or something good can happen in the life of your sibling or relatives. That's something good, or you can even start something together with them, you know. Or for some of you might be the birth of a new vehicle. Okay, so opportunity to buy a new vehicle, for example, Venus in the third, becoming visible. Then we're having Mars becoming visible. So 2020 was the year of retrogrades, when things slowed down, everything is on hold during retrograde, so it requires 3 times more effort. Well, 2021 is the year of planets becoming invisible and visible, the other phase. So Mars becomes invisible around July in your 6th house. Oops, that's not Mars. So that can be good actually. When is this? Mars becomes invisible in July 14th, the middle of July, so around July. Something 6th house, Z, can end. So an illness can end. That's a good thing, because 6th house is difficult things. We like those things to disappear. Some debt or heavy responsibility can disappear. Some obligation to a job or to another person that you have can disappear. Some enemy can disappear. Someone that's been kind of direct enemy, that's been competing with you, or that's been, you know, putting you down or criticizing you, or maybe a court case, you know, there's an enemy type of energy, can end, can complete, for example. Some unhealthy habit as well can complete, because 6th house also rules addictions of some sort, the physical aspect of them. What can complete as well is a job, though, that's like employment. So there can be the end of some employment there, or employee that you break up with around July, or some work project that you complete and you are done with it. So some responsibility there ends. But on more extreme cases, it can mean the end of some job, you know, or employment. And then Mars it's invisible from July, the middle, most of the year, till December 1st. And it becomes visible, reborn again in your 9th house from December the 1st. So there will be the birth of something 9 housey in December, maybe from the end of November. That's like a new possibility to study something, possibility to new passionate belief system, new teacher that appears in your life, new faith and belief system that's kind of that you're very vocal about. A new teaching project can appear for some of you that requires a lot of your energy. A new inspiration, 9th house, new teacher, new inspiration, new, if you're a teacher yourself, new teaching project of some sort. Traveling, again, there is a, Venus appears in your 3rd in April, Mars appears in your 9th in December. So possibility for a long travel, far away country travel of some sort. Some possibility for, and they can be the birth of strife though, because it is Mars. When it appears around the start of December, there might be tension and fighting with other people. There can be some new problem that appears in the life of a father figure or in opinions with others as well. Okay. So let's see, Mercury retrograde periods. Guess where they're happening? Mercury retrograde is happening in your 12th, 4th, and 8th houses. All the emotional, psychological, hidden houses. So this year definitely wants you to work on your internal. Definitely wants you to pluck out the weeds of your subconscious, of your soul. Release the wounds, the emotional. It's all about emotional healing. We probably all constantly try and work on our emotional healings, trying to understand why we feel certain ways. But this year, it's going to be a breakthrough for you. It's like everything is forcing you in that direction. You just can't escape it. Look at that. Mercury goes retrograde first from 30th of January till the 20th of February, so most of February in your 12th house. Everything 12th house that we talked about, you're going to be digging on it, you're going to be researching the past, you're going to be here maybe doing something behind the scenes, preparing, having to use your skills, your communications. But be careful, 12th house retrograde Mercury, there can be miscommunications, they can be coming out of information that was secret before that you find out about. There can be gossip going on as well. There can be loss of passwords or having to, passwords, phones, electronic devices of any sort, or when you're trying to connect with others, you always have to change plans because 12th house is the house of confusion and miscommunications and losses there. So be careful, or I remember when I had Mercury retrograde in my 12th house, my laptop broke and I had to replace it with a new one, and I almost lost 12 videos that I recorded. Mercury media, losing it, 12th house. So you have to be careful about such things, and mistakes that you've done in the past can be repaired though. Mistakes with with papers, with documents, with organization, with business, they have to be reviewed. Also, it can mean that you are researching something. That's great, this retrograde period, to dig deep, to some talks with psychologists. There's so much focus on this 12th house this year, guys. So talk with psychologists or study astrology, dive deep into research of any sort. It might be, if you're doing a PhD, it might be this type of research, or you might be a scientist, this type of research, or you might be doing something behind the scenes, preparing, putting the final editing touches that requires you to use your imagination, the 12th house. Or 12th house is completion, so having to revise something before you complete it as well, that's another way it can play out. Also, if you're traveling to a distant place, it can mean some delays to that trip or some complications, and you have to have plan B and C. One thing it can mean is that certain expenses connected to Mercury, to travel, to studies, and it's good. If you spend when Mercury is in the 12th house on studies, on classes, courses, some skills, that's a good spending, mercurial spending. Okay. Then Mercury goes and delving deep into the past. One wonderful time if you want to reconnect with past lifetimes, if you want to hear from a departed person, while Saturn and Jupiter are still there, you see, and the Sun is there, and Mercury will be there. It's like the door to the invisible world's open. They're gonna materialize in front of you, or you can get such a powerful message from departed loved one, or from for if you get a psychic with a reading or something like that. A reading with a psychic. My brain is frying up. Then the second Mercury retrograde is happening in your 4th house, and that's from basically most of June, from May 29th till June 22nd. So most of June Mercury goes retrograde in your 4th house from 16 to 25 degrees. So all Pisces will feel it, but especially if you have your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant from 16 to 25 degrees. From 16 to 25 degrees. Usually if you're born from the 6th till the 14th of March, your Sun, Mercury will square it. Again, you have to be careful now about devices, information, being able, online connections, any communication devices. You'll feel this strong as well because Mercury makes a direct square, especially to those degrees I said. Some important finding out missing information from before. Some important conversations have to happen. Some replanning, redesigning, reorganizing, having to use your skills 3 times more to solve some problems, your mental focus. But these are not big problems. These are everyday kind of problems connected to work, with organizations, with plans, with communications of some sort. Yes, it can feel stressful. Like, for example, Mercury just went retrograde in my 10th house and PayPal blocked my account. So we had to make a business plan. So we had 2 days of like having to use your skills, your mind. I've never done a business plan to show them, and we sent it and then blocked it. So kind of this type of stuff. But it's happening for you also in the 4th house in June. So you might have some clarifying conversations with family members. Maybe you want to dig the past. Now this is the time, with Rahu Day especially. You might be so fascinated, you might find out that your grandfather was, I don't know, from Africa, and you didn't know that, or that you have some Asian ancestry, or that actually your mother is not your mother, but your sister. Okay, going crazy there. But you can discover certain things from the past, reconnect with people from the past. Maybe you can go and visit your family from your country of origin if you haven't been there for a while, or revisit some relatives, reconnect, speak about the past, speak about the childhood. That's fantastic time to be with a psychologist again, to talk deep conversations with them, remembering the past and trying to see it from a different angle and perspective, especially your relationships with the parental figures, mother or father. So again, family constellations are amazing because they help you to reposition your attitude towards your parents, even if they abuse you, even if they were alcoholics, even if whatever. Forgiveness and seeing from their perspective. Mercury retrograde allows you to see from a different perspective. So helpfully seeing it from a different perspective, and releasing that burden. So creating the strong foundation of emotional stability. So all this work is necessary during Mercury retrograde in the 4th house. It can also mean that in some cases you'd end up relationships with family figures, extended family figures. Some kind of a crisis situation can escalate in the family situation, has to be addressed, has to be talked about, things from the past. On a more material level, it can mean that you're doing some reorganizing, replanning with your home, or if you're trying to buy or sell property, it might get delayed during the retrograde period because it requires some extra, or relocate, it requires some extra finishing touches. And people ask, should I relocate on Mercury retrograde? If the deal goes through, yes, absolutely. You've been working on it most definitely before that. So the retrograde period kind of seals the deals, gives you the results, But sometimes during Mercury retrograde, you just see what doesn't work in the family environment, what are you dissatisfied with in your home. Suddenly you see, oh, this wall needs repair, I'm gonna change something about it, or oh, we need to fix something at home. So sometimes it's things like that when Mercury is retrograde in the fourth house. So you're just shifting your perspective about what you need, your needs, having to talk more about your feelings, having to study more about them, to analyze your needs, analyze your past as well. It's kind of introverted energy, but you're putting a lot of mind. So again, psychological work as well. And often that reflects by some changes in your home environment. As well. Sometimes it's even that people making repairs at their home or some kind of renovations, and Mercury retrograde, it usually extends to that period, and they're putting final touches and have to be more organized and plan and go different, this repairman, that repair, plan, organize. Like, this gets more intense. It doesn't mean you can't do anything. If anything, the opposite, but it's just more complicated work, but that's usually accompanies such activities, if you're trying to change things in your home or whatever. Then Mercury goes retrograde in your 8th house, and that's mostly in October. From September 27th to October 18th, Mercury is retrograde in your 8th house. I think Mars is there at the same time. That's again another internal emotional house. Digging deep, past lifetimes, past life regression, life after death, the secrets and mystery of life, starting to explore them. Astrology, psychology, the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th, the over houses of psychology, working on the subconscious, digging deep in your subconscious. Pisces, I don't know how many signs the universe is like, it's aligning everything for you to work on that inner baggage, to release the inner pain. Healing, transformational healing is the 8th house, and Mars, which is naturally attuned to the 8th house, gives breakthroughs in psychological transformations, is also there. So that's another month, actually one of the most intense ones, where you can have a psychological breakthrough on something painful, something traumatic that might have happened to you before, revisiting it, releasing it. So if you could work with a psychologist, I mean, honestly, even if you have to try a few 5 different ones till you get to the right one, this year can be so liberating for you, or with an astrologer, or just to read such materials. You really start digging with Mercury retrograde day into secrets, bring secret things into the surface. There might be some power struggles with communications, because it is the 8th house. But also during that period, you really don't feel like talking to people about superficial things. You feel like exploring deep narratives, deep, profound, or even secret and taboo topics while Mercury is retrograde there. And you can bring this up even in your relationship. Talking about secrets, about things that were harmful or traumatic to you with your partner, something that you didn't bring to the surface now comes up, or even about your sex life. About trust is the 8th house. Whether with a friend or someone else, you might bring up such topics, or you have to discuss them while Mercury is retrograde in your 8th house. On a more material level, it can indicate that this is time to reevaluate your finances with a partner, that you are really focused and have to do taxes or work on taxes and such things. Whether with an accountant or a loan, 8 houses, those things, you can get some return from taxes with Mercury retrograde in your 8th house, or return of something that's owed to you from another, or maybe if you've applied for a bank loan months before, Mercury comes retrograde and they come back to you and they say, actually, we can give you the bank loan, but you need to add more documents or whatever. Or if you're in the process of inheritance or receiving an insurance, this can get delayed during Mercury retrograde in the 8th house, to be reworked, to be done somehow. There can be some frustrations, but by the time it turns direct from the end of October, after the 18th, this issue can be resolved. And for example, if you've been some alimony that you're expecting a payment from government or from outer resources, 8th house is other people's finances, your partner's finances or ex-partner or some support from another. It's 8th house, or some money that you expect from outside. By the time Mercury turns direct, they can come to you, unless you've been working on receiving that from before, so it can happen during the Mercury retrograde period. Or you can be just having to pay extra attention and use your skills and focus and mind on mutual finances. Maybe they can be, don't take risks financial to do something totally new when Mercury is retrograde in your 8th house. Also advise your partner not to, but you can refinance, you can re-examine, decide to rebudget, and something like that. Re-examine your strategy, how to receive money from clients more, maybe your prices, or maybe if you're receiving supplies from some place. 8th house is, the resources of others, so they might change their pricing, they might change something there in their process, so to speak. Okay, so there we go. But again, the deeper psychological side of the 8th house is going back to the past, reliving traumas, understanding them, seeing them from a different experience, releasing them, and having a sudden healing. 8th house with Mars as well, they can bring sudden healings that October. Well, it's not sudden so much because you're doing the internal work, but sudden realizations that release you from. So all these moksha houses are activated for you 2021, 12, 4th, and 8th. Moksha means liberation. And they're karmic houses as well, meaning paying off karma, burning off karma, completing old karma, to clear up the process for higher consciousness. Because after that it will be your 1st, 5th, and 9th houses that will be activated from 2022. These are houses of new inspiration, new actions. So before that, you have to clear up that other mess and raise the consciousness, because a new creation requires new consciousness and subconscious perspective. And that's the work you're doing, guys. So be patient with yourself, be more loving. Then I just want to quickly mention about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, specific degrees. Uranus is affecting anyone with a very gentle aspect, very supportive. If you're Pisces, born from 6 to 15 degrees Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, which means if it's your Sun, you're from February 25th till March the 6th approximately. Uranus is making a sextile to those degrees. The first from 6 to 10 degrees only till April, you feel the sextile. Then if you're from 10 to 15 degrees Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, from April to the end of the year until April 2022. So this supportive aspect of Uranus comes from the 3rd house. It can mean 3rd house, that someone can help you, a friend, peer, someone, relative, sibling. Someone can help you with new ideas, someone can help you with a website, someone can help you with some administrative work, someone can help you with, Uranus is someone that has skills in, especially in technologies, new technologies, in social media, in anything kind of that is new, that is alternative approach. So communicating and talking with others can give you an alternative approach, a different perspective that can be very helpful and very uplifting for you. That gives you kind of the spark and excitement. But there is help that's coming. Or if you're trying to do a website, you can find a fantastic, Uranian software engineer. Or if you're trying to do marketing, what's that called? Like a project or campaign, it can have great sales ability. You can learn some new sales skills. Uranus from the 3rd house, sextiling your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. But Uranus' nice aspect to your Sun, for example, is very good for the career. You infuse something new, some new ideas, things happen fast, easy. If it's your Sun, definitely you'll feel that. Despite of the 12 house planets, the specific transits to those degrees, I think they overpower even Saturn and Jupiter in the 12th house. So Uranus sextile Sun, you can innovate your business, you can have new ideas. You can, some new male person, authority person can come into your life. Your imagination or your creative imagination also is positive and very progressive forward moving. Plus associations with others. The third house is associations, sibling like relationships. So working in a small group environment, they're very renewing, refreshing, help you in some way. If it's your moon that Uranus squares, sextiles from those degrees, it can mean positive and easy relocation, improvements with your home, enjoyment of parenthood, or improvement, some new chapter in a relationship with mother in a positive way, something, or just kind of speeding up even the metabolism. Uranus is fast speed, the moon is the female metabolism. It can happen. New interest towards new habits. The moon is that, new emotional connections, possibly with more interesting, unusual people that bring you new ideas, that that excite you, you know. And it can also mean that you and your ascendant, all of those things, even your appearance can be brushed up. Ascendant from 6 to 15 degrees in Pisces. Uranus is trining your 7th house cusp. So definitely some new person can come into your life. With the sun and moon as well. Someone of a Uranian nature, which is progressive, open-minded, kind of quite intellectual, kind of full of new ideas, even a different relationship than other times, and it can develop very fast. Uranus has this ability to speed things quite quickly. It can bring new clients, you know, trying to the 7th house cusp, new social connections, definitely. So your Pisces, a big chunk of you who are having this Uranus from the 3rd house, be open to the people that come into your life. They would help you in some way. They would ask for help and you will receive it from them. Ask for help with their skills and knowledge. You'd find out some very unusual and progressive ideas that help you with your goals and plans as well. Then there is a second barge of Pisces. Those who are from 18 to 23 degrees in Pisces. 18 to 23 degrees. So born from around the 9th to around the 14th of March. They're having Neptune transit over your sun, moon, or ascendant. Okay, Neptune is one of the planets that rules you. So you should kind of understand his energies. What are they about? Let go and let God again. Actually, for you, I would advise you to take a break this year. Unless you're an artist, musician, someone who has to use the imagination for their work, a healer, a spiritual job of some sort, or someone that is using a lot of, you know, inspiration, or someone that works in hospitals and such kind of cruise liners, such kind of more secluded environments, then you can have a big success this year, like a big, or you can start such a job connected to that. But usually all kind of corporate careers, all kind of very structured, no imagination, 9 to 5, you need a break from them when you have a strong Neptune influence. So just do the bare minimum. If you can take a break a little bit. Oh, or that gets dissolved when Neptune is around. There's no logic to it. It's a bit of a fog. You might be corporate work from your home with pajamas while drinking wine, you know, being in a conference and drinking wine from morning till evening. Neptune can take us on a trip to escape as much as possible, sometimes over the sun and moon and ascendant. Some kind of escapism tendencies can appear. You as Pisces already have them. This intensifies it. But that's also because it intensifies it, can be exactly the time to complete it. I think, what's his name? Acute Pisces, Biba. When he had Neptune transit his sun, it lasts for 2 years actually. He made some of his most beautiful music, because it is Neptune after all. The inspiration flows from the invisible realms, but he kind of went a bit mental, because Neptune can get you a bit lost. So he kind of, it escalated of drinking scenes and extreme kind of escapist tendencies, and almost crazy behavior. And whilst you're in the Neptune transit, he discovered God, got clean, stopped drinking, started having more faith, because Neptune is about connecting to your higher power, connecting to invisible world. Not so much of a structured, no, you're not gonna feel happy with a structured religion. You're gonna feel happy with finding your own spirituality. And you can do all this because Neptune lasts for 2 years. If you're those degrees, you can basically come from one side with all this chaos of the dissolution of your ego, dissolution of your attachments, definitely. Who am I? You might be asking even questions. I don't know what I want, where I'm headed, I'm confused, I'm demotivated, I'm not sure what it is, I'm dissatisfied with this career or job for some of you as well. I need to let go a bit of the worldly competition. I need, again, it has very 12th house energy. Neptune is the other ruler of the 12th house and Pisces. So I need to retreat from the world, go internally. What does my soul long for? And like Justin Bieber, he discovered Jesus Christ. I don't know what you're going to discover. You might, might first try and discover wine, as a start. But Neptune ultimately wants to connect you to a higher, to a spiritual communion with God, to a personal, very personal, loving, unconditional relationship with God, not structures with rituals, even if you're already spiritual, religious, not lighting candles and stuff. Just feel like my daddy or my mommy is God, and you start internal, very private dialogue, as if you do with a beloved father or mother or child. This is the love that Neptune wants to bring into your heart. Plus, during Neptune transits to Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, you can have great success in Neptunian careers. I've seen many actors become, like the guy from Twilight. He had Neptune transit to his Sun when he became huge. From nobody, he became huge. The vampire. So if you're an actor, it can be a big time. Or if it's not your vocation, Neptune will dissolve you. It will dissolve this dream and will make you disappointed. Whatever the career, if you're not in the right career, Neptune transiting your Sun, you can just feel disappointed. It's not happening. It's not manifesting, especially with the more structured corporate businessy careers, unless there is a lot of imagination there that's used, or it's in such an industry. You can feel a bit lost, a bit confused or demotivated. And give yourself a break with those careers. Just maybe you can't stop it, but try to take as many holidays as possible. Have a lot of alone time. These are remedies. A lot of listening to good music. This is a way to escape. A lot of swimming, having baths, Neptunian things that you have to do. Coloring. Neptune rules visuals and colors and kind of trippy. Start doing those mandalas that you color, or dream work, or anything that is the 12th house. You see, especially if you're those degrees Neptune, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, and Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house. Wow, so it's such a Neptunian year. You'll be lost in La La Land, basically. You'll be more in the other world than here. You'll be more into the invisible worlds. And Neptune sometimes is about losses. Letting go of a relationship with a male figure, Sun, or a parental figure, mother figure, Moon, or some woman, or who you are. You're letting go of your identity, your attachments with career, Sun, with your goals, with Moon in certain relationships or family. Plus, in conditional love, I've seen Neptune transiting Moon. Often women become mothers and they develop this unconditioning, nurturing role. But some people can you can feel more unreliable, and you can attract more unreliable energies in your life because of that. They say they'll come, they don't come. They promise they'll help, they don't. So it is Neptunian. The material things never thrive on the Neptune. You have a plan, something else comes out of your, it's like when you have Neptune transit, it's like you're pushed to ride on a boat without sails in the ocean. You're gonna go where the current takes you, so don't paddle in the opposite direction. It's just hope the current takes you to the beach, to the shores, and it will take you eventually. So you have to learn to relax with that. and just trust the higher power. Because when you feel most confused, though, when the currents are against you, what can you do? Just again attack this more spiritual perspective, instead of despair and have the gods forgotten me. Instead of that, you're like, okay, I'll go with the flow. I'll take the witness perspective. You see the witness again, 12th house, witness perspective, Neptune, and I'll see where it takes me. And I'll trust in a higher power. When you're with a boat without sails, you have nothing else to do but pray. I'm not saying you'll die or something like that. You just have to develop this relationship with a higher power, and start trusting it. It will take you with your intuition to the right place. Plus, your intuition increases dramatically. I mean, some of you can even become psychic during Neptune transit your sun, moon, or ascendant. A lot of people remedies to incorporate some, even if you have no artistic bone in you, incorporate some painting, incorporate some vision board making during Neptune transit. Again, it's about visualization, manifesting, imagining what can happen and bringing it down. I've seen people write books during Neptune transits and moon or ascendant because of the inspiration. They feel that they do some of their best, most inspired work as well, most refined, that touches the souls of others. Plus, they're drawn to such more refined art and work. You can meet Neptunian people as well. Charismatic, beautiful, lost that you have to save, or you want to be saved. Some kind of a savior victim situation can happen. But also, I've seen many people with Neptune transit get so involved because they develop stronger compassion and they want to help others. They get involved with charities, again, like the 12th house. They got involved with just helping others psychologically somehow who are going through more difficult times, because this is how you overcome your own situation, by focusing on yourself and trying to help others that are hurting a bit more than you. And that's the charitable and conditional side of Neptune, that if you consciously show it, you don't have to lose other things from your life, because Neptune is again about detachment. So you're just left alone with nothing but God to look up to, because there is nothing around you to grasp to, nothing visible, nothing material. So you're like, God, please, take me where I want to form a good, I want to trust you, I want to feel you. That's the ultimate goal. If you do it consciously with daily rituals every day, with daily connection, or just some talk that you're talking, or just reading about spiritual books, this will come naturally. So you don't have to lose all the support around you. But it's a spiritual rebirth. It's a spiritual washing away of the... again, Neptune is a watery planet. And then there is a last group of Pisces, those born from 24 to 27 degrees in Pisces. Sun, Moon, or Ascendant 24 to 27. They're born from the 14th till the 18th of March approximately. They're having Pluto sextile from the 11th house. Fantastic. Sextile is a very gentle aspect. They can receive, if it's their sun, some support to fulfill a dream of theirs, a goal. Is good for their career, with authority figures. Powerful authority figures can help them, or powerful benefactors from the 7th house, from the 11th house, or support from friends, or a social group, in the social group, in your friends group, or large groups of people, or from social media, or with your clients. You can have more influence, or such they can give you power and support, help you with your direction and goals. You can definitely, all Plutonic endeavors can go well, which are about transforming, using willpower. For example, you can transform your body if your ascendant is those degrees with ease. You can transform your health, your sun, moon, or ascendant as well. You can transform a career, but without creating shocks, without disrupting the rest of your life. It just strengthens it, empowers you. You can meet very intense friends, maybe friends with power, power. Maybe platonic friends that reveal some certain sexual forbidden secrets, or occult friends that know the secrets of wealth and riches and power, regeneration, or that are just more intense, more powerful, but they help you somehow. They maybe motivate you more, or by their example, they can help you achieve something. I remember when Pluto was doing that to my ascendant, I met for a year, I met two very sexy girls, charismatic, friends from the 11th house. They became friends, and they kind of took me into a forbidden world for a little bit, but in a way that didn't disrupt me, introduced me to very powerful people and stuff like that, but kind of increased my desire side a bit more. That's Pluto. All right, so and you can meet platonic people if you're 24 to 27 degrees sun, moon, or ascendant. Well, I described that to you. Maybe platonic man, you know, if it's the sun or the moon. The moon is also relationship. The ascendant is also relationships. Who are very sexual relationships, or very more empowering relationships, making you discover the hidden recesses. Or you can find a really good psychologist. You can find a very good transformative therapist. Pluto rules those people because it's trining your sun, sextiling your sun, moon, or ascendant. So you'll find really good such person to work through issues with. With Pluto trine the 7th house cusp, you can create some business partnerships if it's your ascendant in particular, maybe sun and moon to a lesser degree, that are very strengthening, that are very empowering, that can bring more wealth. Pluto, some personal relationships can appear that are more sexual, but again, not in a disruptive way. Okay. Transformational, you know, someone to transform you, but it's not a superficial type of people that appear, because you yourself are intenser, so it's the other people around you, they're also intenser. So it's interesting. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much, Pisces. Oh my god, I think your video is one of the longest. Wow, never knew someone can talk so much about the invisible houses. Well, I hope that prepared you guys. You're entering the energy of the alchemist, the internal work, the internal transformation that's going to happen. You're going to be doing some juju magic there in your subconscious, in the invisible worlds. So good luck. Yes, it might be tough at times, but refer to this video to see and to hear and to remember what the final goal is. And not to despair, like I despaired sometimes, when how many days I woke up beating myself up and feeling in the last 2 years like a failure, till it happened, till I broke through, till the level of consciousness changed. It happens. So that's exactly what you're doing. I love you.